Brace yourself for a chilling journey through the most horrific natural disasters of 2024, all captured on camera. Witness the fury of nature as earthquakes, fires, and more unleash their devastating power. Number 10. The northeastern U.S. coast had been hit by one of the worst snowstorms in 2 years back in January, blanketing cities with over a foot of snow and causing travel chaos. In-person schooling was suspended for thousands of students in New York, Pennsylvania, and Massachusetts, and replaced with online classes. Around 1,200 U.S. flights, mostly in New York and Boston, were canceled, while another 2,700 were delayed. Snow began falling quickly from eastern Pennsylvania to Massachusetts, leaving nearly 50 million people under winter weather alerts. Some areas saw the heaviest snowfall in years, including Farmington, Connecticut, which recorded 39 cm of snowfall. Some 3.2 inches of snow falling in Central Park made it New York's snowiest day since January 2022. The conditions made travel dangerous, leading to minor car accidents in both Boston and New York City. Some areas placed a ban on commercial vehicles on the roads, while officials urged residents to avoid travel if possible. Plus, the blizzard knocked out power to 150,000 Pennsylvania. Students in New York City had to switch to remote learning, which was plagued by technical problems that prevented the district's 900,000 students from logging on. Number 9. At least 25 people died after a landslide caused by heavy snow swept through a village in Afghanistan in February. So far, 8 people were known to have been injured in the incident, and there are fears the death toll may rise. Officials say the weather hampered rescue efforts, with helicopters unable to land and snow blocking the roads. Those who managed to reach the village in the eastern province of Nuristan were forced to use shovels and axes to dig through the rubble. Jamiullah Hashimi, the provincial head of information and culture, told news agency AFP that snow was continuing to fall even as people were trying to reach potential survivors in the village of Nakra. He added that modern equipment, tools, and facilities are not available for the rescue operation. Janan Sayek, a spokesman for Afghanistan's disaster management ministry, said in a video posted to X, formerly Twitter, that 25 had died. He added that about 15 to 20 homes had either been completely or partially destroyed in the nighttime incident. Number 8. Authorities in Mauritius were busy assessing the damage after Cyclone Bilal brought torrential rain and flooding to the Indian Ocean island nation in January. At least one person died in Mauritius and another in Réunion. About 100 vehicles were damaged and abandoned by their owners as a result of floods that hit the capital, Port Louis. But flood levels substantially decreased the next day, and authorities were able to clear up debris from the streets. Scenes from the waterfront in Port Louis showed widespread destruction. Authorities said they were carrying out a full assessment of the main roads and critical infrastructure. The Mauritius Meteorological Services, MMS, said a safety bulletin was now in force as the storm was moving away from Mauritius. This came a few hours after it announced it was raising its alert to 4, the maximum level. Sheets of metal clattering in the howling wind could be heard in the deserted streets of the Mauritius capital, Port Louis, while people further south on the island were dealing with the worst of the weather. The international airport remained closed too. Number 7. Deadly fires raged through Chile during the first week of February 2024, following days of extreme heat exceeding 95 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Chile's Valparaiso region, specifically the coastal beach city of Viña del Mar, home to 300,000 people, suffered significant damage. These were Chile's deadliest forest fires in history and the most devastating disaster in the country since the 2010 earthquake and tsunami that killed more than 500 people. According to the Chilean National Disaster Prevention and Response Service, CENIPRED per its acronym in Spanish, at the height of the fire outbreak, there were 165 active fires. Since the fires, several firefighters and residents have told New York Times reporters that insufficient water and empty fire hydrants hampered efforts to contain the fire's advance. A state of emergency and 2 days of mourning were declared by President Gabriel Boric, who also said he would make all resources available as necessary to help deal with the fires. The wildfires left at least 1,600 people homeless in the densely populated city, where entire neighborhoods were burned. Several hospitals and nursing homes were evacuated due to power outages caused by the fire. Number 6. On the night of 22nd January, A significant water and wave-related event occurred due to a potent winter storm system in the far northern Pacific. This event primarily impacted the Marshall Islands, particularly the Roy Namur Islet in the northern sector of Kwajalein Atoll, which is part of the U.S. military base. Notably, this incident involved weather-driven waves and inundation, distinct from a tsunami. The powerful winds associated with the storm system generated a substantial swell that affected Roy Namur and other areas such as Arno Atoll and the runway in Ailing Lapland. There are suspicions that additional islands and atolls may have been affected, although ground reports are limited and experiencing delays due to communication and infrastructure challenges. According to information from NOAA, this event appears to be more severe than the flood in December 2008 that affected RMI and is comparable to the December 2021 king tide inundation event across the FSM. Number 5. On the first day of this year, a magnitude 7.5 earthquake was recorded by the U.S. Geological Survey, USGS, near the northern coast of the Noto Peninsula on the west coast of Honshu, Japan. The quake caused severe shaking in Nanao, with light shaking in Tokyo. The quake also prompted a tsunami of nearly 3 feet in Japan. JMA initially issued a major tsunami warning, the first since Japan's 2011 earthquake and tsunami, but eventually reduced it to an advisory. 2 reactors at the Shika nuclear power plant on the Noto Peninsula survived, but experienced temporary power outages due to damage. William Frank at MIT described what set this earthquake apart from others, namely that the quake was not due to subduction, but rather part of an earthquake swarm. Wajima, a city in Ishikawa Prefecture, was among the areas most affected by the earthquake. Many of the city's 23,000 residents heeded tsunami evacuation orders and fled, but the city still had most of the total number of casualties. Dramatic images showed the devastation in Wajima. 7 weeks after the disaster, many survivors remained in limbo, living in evacuation shelters and unsure of their future, including whether the region will fully recover economically and culturally. Results from a survey released on March 18 showed about 30% of the residents in the cities of Wajima and Suzu, in Ishikawa Prefecture, were yet to return to their towns. Number 4. In December 2023, footage emerged showing the moment a landslide crashed down a mountainside into Lake Garda, Italy. The landslide created large waves and disrupted traffic on roads near the town of Tremasine. Rescue teams were deployed to the scene, but Italian firefighters confirmed that no one was injured in the incident. Number 3. Blizzards are much more than devastating snowstorms. They are very specific snowstorms characterized by heavy snow lasting for 3 hours or more, winds of at least 35 miles per hour, and visibility of less than 1/4 mile, or 400 meters. In 2022, the Buffalo region, well acquainted with freezing conditions, was tormented by lengthy whiteout conditions and frigid temperatures, resulting in dozens of deaths. Footage of the storm shows one of the world's best-known storm chasers, Reed Timmer, trying to navigate a road with snow up to his chest. The winter storm brought rain, followed by cold temperatures, heavy lake-effect snow, and high winds, creating perilous conditions across western New York and killing dozens. Number 2. A landslide that nearly crushed cars along Malibu Canyon Road was captured on video by a motorist in a Tesla just a few months ago. The terrifying footage shows dirt and rocks almost burying one driver. The video was recorded as several motorists were passing through the canyon near Piuma Road around 7:30 in the morning. The Los Angeles County Fire Department later posted images on X, formerly Twitter, showing large boulders and dirt completely covering the roadway. Malibu Canyon Road between Piuma and Francisco Ranch roads remained closed in both directions due to the slide. Number 1. If you've ever been caught in a hailstorm, you know it's no laughing matter. Hail has proven deadly for both people and animals over the ages, with more than 240 people killed in the single worst hail event in known history, which occurred in Moradabad, India, in 1888. The province of Guizhou in China is well acquainted with destructive storms and torrential rains. This ongoing devastation has left the region in such dire straits that there are genuine concerns China may need to bail it out, as it is already one of the nation's most impoverished and indebted areas. Documented footage from April 2023 shows enormous chunks of hail demolishing automobiles, homes, crops, and wildlife, with some hailstones recorded as large as grapefruits.